direction. There is this idea, and it's also throughout ancient cultures, and we'll talk about that just in terms of the experience. This is idea that DMT is the same experience, the same process, the same chemical reaction, if you want to call it that occurs when we sleep each night, and when we're particularly born, and when in particular we die eventually. So, yeah.
Right. So there's certain hypothesis for us. So DMT is considered to be the spirit molecule by some. Dr. Rick Strassman wrote a book called DMT The Spirit Molecule, and there's a documentary out with the same name. And it's definitely a chemical that everybody's body makes, and so that's why there's this hypothesis that it's the source of why we dream. Because if we really, really look at dreams, we've all had a dream that was so vivid that we woke up and we were like, that was real, like it was so real. And the reason is that dreams are hallucinations, and there's this psychedelic chemical our body makes called DMT, and they believe it's made every night when we sleep, and possibly when we die and when we're born. And it has something to do with it's possibly created in our pineal gland, and that's where considered our third eye, the seat of our soul, and where the soul kind of enters and exits the body in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is like this, the pineal gland, and you'll hear about this again if just do this research on your own. But yeah, it's seated right in the middle. So I mean, if a spirit, if a soul, if this external awareness, if like a signal being broadcasted and received would come in through anywhere, it would make sense for it to be right in the middle of the brain and the nervous system and be relatively close to the part that's going to be controlling the rest of the other parts, which is our body, right? So, yeah, it's just a really interesting process when you think about the idea that this body is just a vehicle. We've talked about this numerous times on the show, but for me, and for a lot of other people, that in itself is like one of the big paradigm shifts. Just really getting this idea that we are more than our physical body. Like we are like the conscious like observer, like observing, and we were talking about this in previous episodes, like the distinction between ourselves and the mind and the horse and the jockey, and not believing that we are actually the centaur, but like but what I'm trying to say here,
energy that activates our body, it's like the energy that activates our body, and that can be seen in our spirit,
Yeah, no, that's wow. I've when you say activate, like, because when you think of lack of activity, you think of no motion, which is like a corpse, right? So, I mean, but that's what literally happens. We see that all the time through death. Like something comes into this body and something eventually goes out of it, and where it's going out and in through, in theory, yet in the best guess, and in a place that ancient cultures are commonly referred to, it's taking place right in the middle of the brain. And when it does this, every time it goes through this gate, this star gate, which is, I think, a great way to think of it, the DMT, the chemical, is produced. And I mean, the DMT is not the experience. The DMT is the part that allows the experience to occur. It is like the lubricant for something else to like be able to move efficiently. Does that make sense?
Right. It definitely. Yeah. No. It definitely makes sense. So as far as the DMT, and when it enters you, it's very specific, to who you are. So it's just like dreams. Dreams are usually very specific to you and what's going on in your life, and certain people in your life. So it's very, very similar. Like you start seeing these patterns starting to connect. You start seeing how dreams sort of interconnect with imagination and with the whole psychedelic thing also.